Morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah Rosh Hashanah, Parak Dalet, Chapter 4, Mishnah Beis, Mishnah 2. Now, the Mishnah starts in a peculiar way. It says, "Va'od zayis ha'is Yerushalayim Yisera al Yavne," and there was another way in which Yerushalayim was different or was superior than Yavne. Now, if it says there was another, that means there was something before. But there's no something before that appears in the Mishnah. So therefore, it's important to know, as the Gemara points out, that actually there's a part of this Mishnah that's missing. Very often in the Gemara, you find the words Chasuri Mechser Bavachi Katani. The Mishnah was missing words, and you have to add these words to the Mishnah to be able to understand the rest of it. And therefore, what the Mishnah is saying is like this. The first part of the Mishnah, which isn't here, one has to understand this is the case. The case is that, okay. Now, we have to just listen to what I'm saying here, that they bring down in the notes from the Gemara, and then we're going to see how it works with yesterday's Mishnah, because there seems to be a contradiction. But this is what the Gemara says. The Gemara says the Mishnah here starts up saying that when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, the shofar can be blown anywhere in Yerushalayim. And not only in the presence of the court, provided that the blowing took place during the first half of the day when the court was in session. That's what the first half of the Mishnah says. First half of the Mishnah says that in Yerushalayim, even not in front of the court, you could blow the shofar anywhere in Yerushalayim, even on Shabbos, as long as it was the time when the Beis Din in Yerushalayim is in session, which was the first half of the day. That is the point of time when anywhere in Yerushalayim you could blow on Shabbos. In Yavne, which doesn't specifically mean Yavne, means anywhere else where there's a Beis Din, okay, though it could be blown only before the court. It's not enough that it was the time when the court is in session. It's got to be literally in front of the court. So the Mishnah started off saying that on Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, you can blow the shofar if it's Yerushalayim, anywhere in Yerushalayim, as long as the first half of the day when the court in Yerushalayim, I'm assuming referring to the Sanhedrin, the High Court, was in session. When it was in session, you could blow anywhere. In other places, you can only blow in presence of the court. And after that, our Mishnah says, and there was another way that Yerushalayim was superior or more than Yavne. But the part of the Mishnah that's missing is this halacha, that when Shabbos was in Yerushalayim, you could blow anywhere in Yerushalayim as long as it was when the court was in session. Anywhere else has to be in the presence of the court. Now, in yesterday's Mishnah, Mishnah Aleph, the Mishnah said that when you blew that, the times of the Beis Hamikdash, right? They would blow in the Beis Hamikdash, but not in anywhere outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Not anywhere outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Mishchar Beis Hamikdash, when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Rechem and Zakkai instituted blowing anywhere that there was a Beis Din. Okay, now, the assumption is that, hold on, right. The assumption is that this part of the Mishnah that we just said is missing, where we're talking about the difference between Yerushalayim and other places, is only when there was a Beis Hamikdash. In the previous Mishnah, we said once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Rechem and Zakkai instituted, where there's a Beis Din, you can blow. But the distinction between Yerushalayim and everywhere else is when there's a Beis Hamikdash. And the Mishnah said before that when there's a Beis Hamikdash, it says you blew at the Beis Hamikdash and not outside of the Beis Hamikdash. And now we're saying that you can blow anywhere in Yerushalayim. So how do the two things fit together? And the answer that's brought down is that the difference is like this. That when the Mishnah said yesterday that they only blew in the Beis Hamikdash but not anywhere else, that means the following. Taisus Yosef explains that the previous Mishnah meant only that the shofar could not be blown throughout Yerushalayim at all hours of the day. Rather, as stated above, it may be blown there only during the first half of the day when the Beis Din was in session. In the temple, however, the shofar could be blown at any time, even after midday. So the point of the Mishnah, yesterday's Mishnah, was in the Beis HaMikdash, they could blow shofar anytime during the day. Anytime on Rosh Hashanah, even when it was Shabbos, the Beis HaMikdash, you blow anytime during the day. Outside of the Beis HaMikdash, where it was implied that they, or as it says, Avaloi b'Medina didn't blow outside of the Beis HaMikdash, that means after the first half of the day, which is what our Mishnah doesn't mention, but is what's meant to be in the Mishnah. So to put it all together, in the Beis HaMikdash, when Shabbos was Rosh Hashanah, you can blow all day long, any time of the day. In Yerushalayim, you didn't have to blow in the front of the Beis Din. You can blow anywhere in Yerushalayim, but it had to be when the Beis Din is in session, which is the first half of the day. Anywhere else other than Yerushalayim, you can only blow the shofar on Shabbos in the presence of the Beis Din. So now our Mishnah then continues. It says, "V'oid zois haish Yerushalayim yiseir al Yavna," and another way in which Yerushalayim was superior to Yavna, shkol ir shehi roya v'shoimas ekroiba v'yachal lavai. That means any city where a person would be able to see Yerushalayim from where they are, v'shoimas, they could hear the shofar blowing out of Yerushalayim. Ukroiva, it's close. Close means it's within the 2,000 amas of Tchum Shabbos, meaning you can get there if you needed to, because as we said, there's a Tchum Shabbos applies on Yom Tov too. 2,000 cubits outside of the city or outside of the residence of the city, you can't go further than that. So if where you are is further than that, that means you're not close. The Yechayla Lavai, and you're able to come, means there's no river. There's nothing cutting you off from being able to come. So any city that a person can fulfill all these four things, you got to be able to see, you got to be able to hear, you got to be within the tchum, and you have to be able to come. There's no obstacles from you coming. Then Toikin, you can blow there on Shabbos too. Anything that was called the environs of Yerushalayim, you can blow the shofar then. But again, in Yavna, it was only in the presence of the Beis Din. Only in presence of the Beis Din. Not outside of the Beis Din in Yavna, and not on the environs of Yavna. And as is pointed out, in our context, Yavna is not specific. Because the previous Mishnah, we had the majority of opinions before, didn't differentiate between Yavna and other places. So the reason, either way, you could blow shofar there. The question was, does it have to be a permanent Beis Din? It could be a temporary Beis Din. But at the end of the day, there's no difference between Yavna and other places. So when our Mishnah talks about the difference between Yerushalayim and Yavna, Yavna is not specific. It means any city other than Yerushalayim. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I'm amazed that they can figure